For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. New members of Congress will be sworn in today. Though Republicans have control of the House, Republican Kevin McCarthy's grasping for his political survival to lead the chamber. McCarthy could become the first nominee for Speaker in 100 years to fail to win support from his own colleagues in the first round of voting. Max Pringle has more.
GOP leader Kevin McCarthy is struggling to gather the votes he needs to become the new Speaker of the House. McCarthy is hoping to convince enough ultra-conservative members of his party to support him. To that end, the California Republican has made a number of concessions, including allowing for a vote of any 5 Republican members to force a vote of no confidence in the Speaker. Existing rules put in place by Speaker Nancy Pelosi required a member of the majority party leadership to initiate a no-confidence vote. He also vowed to stop the practice of proxy voting, or virtual voting, requiring members to be in Washington to cast votes and participate in hearings. McCarthy faces potential challenges for the speakership from several members, including Andy Biggs of Arizona, Florida's Matt Gaetz, and Pennsylvania's Scott Perry. I'm Max Pringle.
A growing number of Republicans in the House are calling on New York-elect Congressman George Santos to resign. Amidst scandals, he lied about his employment, heritage, and financial history. Australia and Canada have joined a growing list of countries requiring travelers from China to take a COVID-19 test prior to boarding their flight. Richard Kimber reports.
From January 5th, travellers from China, Hong Kong and Macau that are heading to Australia or Canada will have to show a negative COVID-19 test taken within 2 days of their departure. Similar requirements are also in place for travellers from China heading to the US, UK, India, Japan and several European countries. The World Health Organization is calling on China to share more data about the scale and severity of the COVID outbreak in the country. China says that it is sharing COVID-19 data where necessary and is calling on the world to adopt what it's calling a science-based and proportionate approach to COVID rules that treats people from all countries equally. Richard Kimber in Hong Kong.
Emergency crews are sifting through the rubble of a building that was struck by Ukrainian rockets, killing at least 63 Russian soldiers Monday. Russia says it's destroyed 2 Ukrainian HIMARS launchers near Kramatorsk in the Donetsk. Ukraine's Air Force claimed it's down nearly 500 Russian drones since September. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky warns Russia's preparing a spate of attacks using Iranian drones. Karen Chamas reports.
In his nightly address, President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia is planning what he called a prolonged attack by Shahed exploding drones. Zelensky accused Russia of trying to break Ukraine's resistance by exhausting Ukraine's people, air defense and energy. Russia's President Vladimir Putin is attempting to boost confidence in Moscow's flawed war effort. Ukraine's effective counteroffensive, which is backed by Western-supplied weapons, has brought criticism in some Russian circles of Russia's military performance. I'm Karen Chamas.
An ultra-nationalist Israeli cabinet minister who was convicted for inciting racism has visited a holy site used by Muslims with a large contingent of police officers in tow, sparking condemnation by Arab leaders and Palestinian officials. Itamar Ben-Gvir, who now oversees Israeli police, entered the site known to Jews as a Temple Mount and to Muslims as the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound today. Here's Palestinian Authorities Prime Minister.
The
storming of Al-Aqsa Mosque by the Israeli minister Ben-Gvir this morning constitutes a serious challenge to the feelings of the Palestinian people. We call on our people to confront such incursions that aim to make Al-Aqsa Mosque a Jewish temple. This is a violation of all international norms, values, conventions, laws, and Israel's pledges to the American president.
Earlier in the day, Palestinian officials said a 15-year-old boy was killed by Israeli army fire near the occupied West Bank city of Bethlehem. Tens of thousands of British rail workers will stage a fresh round of strikes today, expected to disrupt services all week. Around half of the UK's railway lines are closed, and only a fifth of services are running amidst a long-running dispute over pay and working conditions. Julia Chapman has more.
Rail workers are beginning another 48-hour strike over pay and conditions in the UK. Customers are being advised to avoid travel if they can because of severe disruption to services. The government insists the unions are rejecting reasonable new offers on pay. But Mick Lynch of the RMT union says industrial action will go on if employers and ministers don't change their stance.
We have a mandate for another 5 months now. I hope that isn't necessary. I hope it's not necessary to take further action. I want to get a solution. But if we can't get a solution, we will have to continue our campaign. We're trying to defend safety on the railway. We're trying to defend the services that the public get. And we're trying to defend our members' conditions and get them a pay deal, which we haven't had in most cases for 2 or 3 years now.
Julia Chapman reporting.
Latin American leaders converged on Brazil to meet with President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on his first full day in office Monday. On his first day as president, Lula signed a decree that guarantees a monthly stipend for poor families and another decree to tighten gun control. He said his priorities are fighting poverty and investing in education and health. He also said he will bring illegal deforestation to the Amazon to a halt. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.